war from the perspective of the Seth material. The Seth material, as channeled by Jane Roberts, offers a unique and thought-provoking perspective on the nature of war and conflict. While Seth does not directly address war at length in the excerpts provided, his teachings on the nature of reality, consciousness, and human behavior provide a framework for understanding war from a broader metaphysical and psychological standpoint. This essay will explore how Seth's ideas relate to the causes, effects, and potential solutions to war, drawing connections between his core concepts and the phenomenon of large-scale human conflict. The nature of physical reality and war. A fundamental tenet of Seth's teachings is that physical reality is a construction of consciousness, not an objective, fixed realm separate from the mind. As Seth states, you cannot begin to understand the nature of mass events of any kind unless you consider the even greater framework in which they have their existence. This suggests that war, as a mass event, arises from the collective consciousness and beliefs of humanity, rather than from purely external, material causes. Seth emphasizes that the physical world that you recognize is made up of invisible patterns. These patterns are plastic, in that while they exist, their final form is a matter of probabilities directed by consciousness. Applied to war, this implies that armed conflicts are not inevitable outcomes of geography, resources, or other material factors, but rather probable manifestations shaped by human consciousness, beliefs, and expectations. The plasticity of reality that Seth describes means that war is not a fixed, unavoidable aspect of human existence, but a pattern that can potentially be reshaped through shifts in consciousness. As Seth notes, your sense perception, physically speaking, is a result of behavior on the part of organs that seem to you to have no reality outside of their relationship with you. Similarly, our perception of war and conflict as unavoidable may stem from limited awareness rather than absolute truth, beliefs, expectations, and the manifestation of war. Seth places great emphasis on the power of beliefs and expectations to shape both individual and collective realities. He states, you cannot separate your own reality from your religious and philosophical beliefs and sentiments, and your cultural environment and political framework. This suggests that cultural, religious, and ideological beliefs play a crucial role in manifesting war. According to Seth, your thoughts and feelings seed physical reality, bringing forth materializations. The seeds of war, then, can be found in belief systems that promote fear, separation, scarcity, and the inevitability of conflict. As societies reinforce these beliefs through education, media, and cultural narratives, they create a psychological foundation that makes war more probable. Seth's statement that excellence will show itself through the arts, cultural creativity, technological or sociological accomplishments implies that societies have the potential to channel their creative energies in positive directions. However, when collective beliefs and expectations are oriented toward conflict, that creative power may instead manifest as innovations in weaponry and military strategy. The role of fear and negative beliefs. Fear plays a central role in Seth's understanding of human behavior and the manifestation of negative events. He observes, if you dwell mentally in a generalized environment of fear, the body is given no clear line of action, allowed no appropriate response. This chronic state of fear and tension can lead individuals and societies to perceive threats where none truly exist, potentially triggering unnecessary conflicts. Seth notes that beliefs that foster despair are biologically destructive. They cause the physical system to shut down. On a collective level, widespread beliefs in the inevitability of war, the inherent evil of other groups, or the scarcity of resources can create a psychological environment ripe for conflict. These beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies as societies prepare for and expect war, thereby increasing its likelihood. The interconnected nature of all consciousness. A key aspect of Seth's worldview is the fundamental interconnectedness of all consciousness. He states, each physical body in its own way is like the world. It has its own defenses and abilities, and each portion of it strives for a quality of existence that will bring to the smallest parts of it the spiritual and biological fulfillment of its own nature. This holistic perspective suggests that war represents a fragmentation or imbalance in the greater body of human consciousness. Seth emphasizes that there is an inner environment that connects all consciousnesses that dwell upon your planet, in whatever form. This implies that the seeds of both war and peace exist within a shared field of consciousness. Just as conflict in one part of the world can ripple out to affect the whole, movements toward peace and understanding can also have far-reaching effects beyond their immediate context. The purpose and lessons of war. While Seth generally emphasizes the creative and positive aspects of existence, his teachings also acknowledge that challenging experiences serve a purpose in the growth and evolution of consciousness. He notes, suffering is not necessarily good for the soul at all, and left alone, natural creatures do not seek it. This suggests that war, as a form of mass suffering, is not an inherently necessary or beneficial experience for humanity. However, Seth also states, the species tries to fulfill its great capacities. Each physical body in its own way is like the world. From this perspective, war could be seen as a misguided attempt by humanity to fulfill its capacities for courage, unity, and overcoming challenges. The immense creativity and cooperation often displayed during wartime hint at humanity's potential when focused on a common goal, even if that goal itself is destructive. Seth's teachings imply that the lessons of war, the futility of violence, the interconnectedness of all people, the preciousness of peace, are meant to be learned and integrated, not endlessly repeated. As consciousness evolves, the need for such extreme teaching experiences should diminish. Individual responsibility and choice. A core principle in Seth's teachings is individual responsibility and the power of choice. He emphasizes, you make your own reality. This applies not only to personal experiences, but to participation in mass events like war. Seth states, no person becomes ill unless that illness serves a psychic or psychological reason. And the same principle could be applied to involvement in war. At some level, individuals choose to participate based on their beliefs, expectations, and desired experiences. This perspective does not blame victims of war, but rather empowers individuals to examine their beliefs and make conscious choices that promote peace. Seth's teachings suggest that by changing our individual beliefs about the inevitability of conflict, the nature of other groups, and our own capacity for peace, we contribute to shifting the probability of war on a larger scale. The limitations of physical solutions. Seth's teachings caution against relying solely on physical or technological solutions to fundamentally psychological and spiritual issues. He notes, your scientists are beginning to understand man's physical relationship with nature. The species is obviously a part of nature and not apart from it. This holistic view suggests that addressing war requires more than just arms control or political negotiations. It necessitates a shift in consciousness and a recognition of humanity's fundamental interconnectedness. Seth's statement that you cannot be inoculated with the desire to live or with the zest, delight, or contentment of the healthy animal speaks to the limitations of external solutions. No treaty, weapon, or political system can create lasting peace if the consciousness of humanity remains rooted in fear, separation, and conflict. True change must come from within, probable realities and the flexibility of time. Seth's concept of probable realities offers a unique perspective on war and peace. He teaches that all possible versions of events exist simultaneously, and our beliefs and focus determine which probability we experience. This suggests that peace is always a possibility, existing alongside realities of war. By shifting our collective focus and beliefs, we may be able to tune in to more peaceful, probable futures. Furthermore, Seth's view of time as flexible rather than linear implies that the effects of war are not set in stone. He states, the physical matter of the planet is also composed of literally infinite hordes of consciousnesses, each experiencing its own reality while adding to the overall cooperative venture. This multi-dimensional view of reality suggests that healing from war can occur non-linearly, with present actions potentially altering both the future and our perception of the past. Mass events and collective choices. Seth describes mass events like war as collective choices that serve specific purposes for those involved. He states, to a certain extent, epidemics are the result of a mass suicide phenomenon on the parts of those involved. While war is not an epidemic in the biological sense, it shares characteristics of mass participation and collective psychology. This perspective invites us to consider what collective purposes war might serve, perhaps as a drastic way to redistribute resources, shift power structures, or force technological innovation. Seth's teachings suggest that by consciously examining these underlying drives, we may find more constructive ways to meet our collective needs without resorting to violence. The power of imagination and creativity. Seth emphasizes the importance of imagination in shaping reality, stating, "Man's abilities in this respect are far more complicated, for in his imagination he deals with probabilities." This suggests that envisioning and emotionally investing in peace is a powerful act that can shift probabilities away from war. Furthermore, Seth's assertion that all creativity is basically joyful implies that redirecting humanity's immense creative potential away from warfare and toward life-affirming goals could dramatically reduce the likelihood of conflict. By imagining and working toward positive futures with the same intensity often devoted to preparing for war, we may be able to manifest more peaceful probabilities. Changing core beliefs to prevent war. Seth's teachings repeatedly emphasize the power of core beliefs in shaping both individual and mass events. He states, "If you believe that the body is sinful, for example, you cannot expect to be happy, and health will most likely elude you, for your dark beliefs will blemish the psychological and biological integrity with which you were born." Applying this principle to war, beliefs in the inherent sinfulness, unworthiness, or separateness of certain groups of people create a psychological foundation for conflict. To prevent war, Seth's teachings suggest we must examine and change our core beliefs about human nature, scarcity, and the inevitability of conflict. By fostering beliefs in the fundamental worth of all people, the abundance of resources when properly managed, and the human capacity for cooperation and peace, we create a psychological environment in which war becomes less probable. The role of media and mass communication. Seth offers intriguing insights into the power of mass communication in shaping reality. He observes, "Your television dramas, the cops and robbers shows, the spy productions are simplistic, yet they relieve tension in a way that your public health announcements cannot do." This suggests that media plays a crucial role in either exacerbating or alleviating the psychological tensions that can lead to war. By consciously creating media that emphasizes human interconnectedness, peaceful conflict resolution, and the shared hopes and dreams of all people, we may be able to shift the collective consciousness away from fear and toward cooperation. Seth's teachings imply that these mass meditations through media can be powerful tools for manifesting more peaceful, probable realities. Conclusion. The Seth material offers a complex and nuanced perspective on war that emphasizes the role of consciousness, beliefs, and individual choice in shaping mass events. While not directly addressing warfare at length, Seth's teachings provide a framework for understanding conflict as a manifestation of collective beliefs and expectations rather than an inevitable aspect of human existence. From this viewpoint, the key to preventing and resolving war lies not primarily in external actions, but in a fundamental shift of consciousness. By examining and changing our core beliefs about human nature, scarcity, and the inevitability of conflict, we can begin to manifest more peaceful, probable realities. The interconnected nature of all consciousness means that individual efforts to cultivate peace can have far-reaching effects on the collective experience. Seth's emphasis on the power of imagination and creativity suggests that actively envisioning and working toward peaceful futures is a potent force for change. By redirecting the immense creative energy often devoted to warfare toward life-affirming goals, humanity may be able to fulfill its potential for growth and expression without the need for violent conflict. Ultimately, the Seth material invites us to take responsibility for our individual and collective realities, recognizing that war is not an external, inevitable force, but a manifestation of our own consciousness. Through conscious choice, examination of beliefs, and the cultivation of a more holistic, interconnected worldview, we have the power to chart a course toward a more peaceful future.